Welcome to the inaugural MAML Blood Bowl Championship Pre-Competition Report. I'm your host, David Unit 2, and for the next few minutes, we're going to take a look at the teams who've made it this far this season and see how each of them may decide to play both tactically and strategically to try to come out as league champion. 14 teams started this season, only 4 remain. First up are the Chaos Cup champions, the Whiny Beavers, coached by Merrick. They're coming into this championship competition with the highest TV in the league at 1900. The next highest TV in the competition is 1640, which means as it stands, the Whiny Beavers are giving up at least 260,000 gold in each game. That's a wizard, plus plenty of money to spare on additional inducements. What's more, league rules require seasons to start with fresh teams, and so each team is going to get to spend whatever they have accumulated in their treasury this season. The Whiny Beavers have a solid roster of 12 players. Earlier in the season, they had a bit of a problem with having a majority of their TV tied up in a minority of their players. After a few tragic kills and a few strategic cuts, they've turned their roster around to have a solid lineup of level 2 players, 2 level 3 players, and a level 4 runner. They still have a death roller on the roster that they picked up last competition, and I think this was a bad pick for them. It put a whole lot of TV on the books for a secret weapon that would only see a single drive of play each game. Merrick chose to send that death roller out onto the pitch on turn 1 all competition long, and wasn't able to convert that into TDs. Consequently, the Whiny Beavers finished the Dungeon Bowl in last place, going 0-5-2. That's 5 draws. Rumor has it that Merrick has learned a lesson in the Dungeon Bowl and is going to dump the death roller for the Blood Bowl. I think that's going to be a good move. Otherwise, their lineup is really strong. They have block on all but a single player, guard on 5 players, a runner with 7 MA. They even have a kicker and a kickoff return player. Everybody has thick skull, and the lowest AV on the roster is 8, which means, as is typical for a Dwarven team, these players are going to be really hard to take off the pitch. However, with low agility and average strength, this is a team that can't really do much on offense other than cage up and try to march slowly down the pitch. I don't think we'll see anyone other than possibly Walmart Death Machine get aggressive on the Whiny Beavers' cage, because they simply don't need to. All teams need to do on defense is screen out the Whiny Beavers and hold them to 0 or 1 space yardage gains a turn. In order to gain an advantage on offense, without the death roller on the roster, the Whiny Beavers are going to have to make clever use of their Troll Slayer's Frenzy ability to try to break up defensive formations and open up holes. On defense, the Whiny Beavers are more than likely looking to outbash their opponents. They're a bashy team with high resilience and skilled players to boot. Blocking trades will often favor them for this reason. However, they're going to need to be careful of the mutations of Walmart Death Machine. WDM has Mighty Blow and Claws on their big guy and can do easy, serious damage with that combo. If the Whiny Beavers want to play their most effective defense, then they're going to have to pay close attention not just to their formations, but where they place individual players in relation to the opposition. The Whiny Beavers are also going to have to be on guard against the speed and agility on display in both the Raiders and the Bloop-a-Doops rosters. If either team is on offense and can get a man undefended downfield, the Whiny Beavers are going to have a tough time catching them. This likely means they'll have to dedicate 1 or 2 safeties on defense, which not only means less players at the line, but may also very well mean taking less blocks turn after turn. On offense, they're going to have to use those Troll Slayers to open up holes and exploit them. On defense, they'll have to be meticulous and savvy with player placement each and every single turn in order to come out ahead in this competition. Up next are the Chaos Cup runners-up, Walmart Death Machine, coached by Nick Satan. This is a scary Chaos team with a sizable 140k in the treasury. The number 1 player to watch out for is the big guy, Brockmar, a level 4 Minotaur. This guy has the devastating combo of Mighty Blow and Claws. Not only that, but he has Guard, Tentacles, Horns, and Frenzy as well. He'll be taking hits, and when he's done, he'll be looking to take players off the pitch. Opponents are going to have to take special care against this player and either avoid him or tie him up with a cheap player of their own. If Brockmar is allowed to run rampant across the pitch, WDM will gain player advantage that teams may not be able to come back from. Otherwise, the lineup is solid in its own right. 6 players with block, a kicker, and 3 beastmen on the brink of leveling up. If WDM advances to the championship, their opponent may be in for a rude awakening if even a single one of those beastmen gains his level up. The Chaos Warriors are the key players to deal with, having a strength of 4 and a respectable AG of 3. Those 4 Chaos Warriors will be used to make key marks for WDM to gain hits or to harass players. Opponents can use this to their advantage, however, as playing and usage of those Chaos Warriors will betray Nick Satan's strategy during a drive. Clever coaches will be able to make use of this information and pivot their own strategy to attack WDM where they are weakest. Having horns on 7 players means Nick Satan will not have to choose who will be the blitzer, as any one of those players can fill that role. Otherwise, this will be a pretty bashy team. Cage up on offense, smash down or screen on defense. Something to watch out for will be if Nick Satan decides to base his strategy not around whether he is on offense or defense, but instead around what turn it is. This is a team that causes casualties. Nick Satan may decide to leverage that earlier in the game to gain player advantage. Remember, casualties don't come back onto the pitch, so trying for them earlier means more players on the pitch, which in turn means more opportunities to make blocks and cause casualties. It also means more time in the game to take advantage of any player advantage he gains, and therefore can start to take control of the momentum and the tempo of the game. Having only 3 TRRs means WDM needs to be careful about action order and when to use a reroll. They also have the most money of all 4 teams with 140k in the treasury. It'll be interesting to see how he plans to use that. He could bump up his TRRs, or we could even see a star player. The Vloops are next, coached by Ava Unit 2. They are the Spike Magazine Trophy champions, and they're coming into the Blood Bowl with the lowest TV at 1520. They also have virtually no money in the bank with only 10,000 gold. They'll get to take advantage of petty cash coming in during the inducement phase, and that may make or break their games this competition. Humans are jacks of all trades, masters of none. The Vloops roster isn't too bad coming into this championship competition. However, they do have a lot of TV tied up in their passing game. Detlef Roblor is a level 4 thrower, and both catchers are level 3. However, all 3 players have block, dodge, and sidestep, making them real pests on the pitch and incredibly difficult to not just knock down, but even to pin down. 9 of the 11 players have block, and humans need that. We saw the Vloops elect not to replace their injured ogre in the final game of the Dungeon Bowl, opting instead to up their TRRs to 5 and bring Tag Belly Opener into this Blood Bowl once he was healed up. 2 of the Blitzers have guard, 1 has Mighty Blow. The Vloops are certainly going to use these 2 players as special positionals and try to both get assists and trigger that Mighty Blow as much as possible, especially against this field of bashy teams. Otherwise, human teams want to play against their opponent's weaknesses, and against this bashy field, we're probably going to see the Vloops play an agility game this competition. They'll try to extend their catchers and simultaneously threaten the passing game and the running game, forcing their opponents to choose how many players to dedicate to their secondary and how many to dedicate to the line. The Vloops will then try to find a weakness in their opponent's tactics related to that decision and commit hard to exploiting it. With only 11 men on the roster and no money to hire new players, the Vloops need to be extra careful about losing players. Losing even one is going to force them into an uphill battle in this tournament. Opponents will likely exploit this, and in turn, the Vloops will likely play a passive screen formation on defense. They don't want to take hits, and they're not up against any particularly quick teams. Last but certainly not least are the Dungeon Bowl champions, the Yorkland Raiders, coached by Wenger. The Raiders are coming into the Blood Bowl with a 12-man roster, a solid 90k in the treasury, and even have a respectable staff: 4 TRRs, 4 cheerleaders, 3 coach assistants, and an apothecary. They have a 12-man roster, and I think we're going to see the same strategies and tactics that served Wenger so well in the Dungeon Bowl. He has the thrower, the goblin, and the troll to threaten the passing game once he gets into the final third of the pitch. Otherwise, he'll use those 4 black orcs with their strength of 4 to mark players and take hits if they're given to him. Bro Jackson is a blitzer with the strip ball skill. We'll see the Raiders try to use him to negate the threat of players breaking free downfield, such as the Bloop's catchers. Another blitzer, Glugask, has grab. He can use that to negate the Bloop's sidestep skill. On offense, we've seen him be successful in opening up holes diagonally across the pitch. Opponents are going to have to be more cognizant of these harder to see gaps in their defense. He's at his most threatening when he's within that final third of the pitch, so opponents are going to want to stop that forward advance of the Raiders before they get into that zone. The Goblin can sneak through lines or be thrown over them to score TDs. However, he can also be used to throw assists into a block. With the specialized positions on the team, opponents are going to want to throw them off kilter by goading them out of position, taking them off the pitch, or just playing to their weaknesses. Being so specialized makes it a harder team for Wenger to maximize, but he did a stellar job of it in the Dungeon Bowl, and I don't think he'll have much of a problem with it here. Instead, opponents are going to have to step up their games and prevent him from leveraging these special skills. Otherwise, he's going to try to march a cage down the pitch, and opponents are going to want to stop that by means of a screen or by making key blocks and breaking down the offensive line. On defense, I think we'll see the Raiders play a cautious game. They tend to favor the screen and keep a healthy secondary in play. On the face of it, this covers the most defensive options, but it makes the team fairly average at either option. We've seen the Whiny Beavers key in on this in the past and break down the defense for an easy TD. Opponents of the Yorkland Raiders may want to take a play out of the Whiny Beavers playbook and focus in on breaking down one of these options to force the Raiders to respond, and then exploit the weakness in the now exposed option. The Raiders in turn might decide to get a little more aggressive on defense. If they do, we can see the game turn from a chess match into a full-on MMA fight as players duck, dodge, and weave to find yardage and close gaps. Just 4 teams remain this season. Who will come out on top? Will it be the bashy resilience of the Whiny Beavers? The murderous intent of Walmart Death Machine? The slick options and bashy play of the Yorkland Raiders? Or will the ability to do a bit of everything clinch the victory for the Baltimore Vloopadoops? 4 games are left in this season, and when we're done, we'll crown the first ever league champion. I can't wait to see it go down, and I hope you'll all join me for the Mid-Atlantic Mauling League's first championship, the Blood Bowl. I'll see you there.